Hello, beautiful souls. Today's episode is so good. And before we jump in, I have some exciting news to share. If you've ever wondered where you're blocking money, this is for you. I've created a free quiz to diagnose your money wounds so you can heal them and unblock yourself to receive more money. Just go to moneywoundsquiz.com and answer 6 quick questions to get your insanely accurate and potent results. And if you're loving my vibe and want to work one-on-one to call in more feminine energy wealth, I would love to hear from you. You can shoot me a DM on social media or go to emilywilcox.com to learn more. Welcome to the show. Today I am so excited because we have special guest, Gayle Brisson. And she is an online women's empowerment coach who helps women learn to take up space in their bodies, their lives, and their goals. She helps women repair their relationships to themselves, their food, their body image, as well as their money. Crystal's on a mission to see how many women can begin to live the fullest expression of themselves through her mindset and emotional intelligence coaching. Feed That Glow was created in 2015 after a second burnout and decades of body image struggles because Crystal realized that everyone on the planet has their own internal glow, and yet many of us are conditioned to dim this light within us. Crystal also created the Project Glow radio podcast for women to come back home to their truth, their pure essence, and to tap into that radiant glow and shine brighter. Crystal's mission is to help women end the self-sabotaging behaviors that prevent women from taking up space and being seen for who they are. So Crystal, I am so excited to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so I really love your mission, and I really agree with your conclusions that, we can't really deal with body image and money and our goals and everything in isolation, right? Because they actually all are so interconnected, and we tend to have one that's driving us the most crazy. But then when we start to do the inner work around it, we realize, oh, it's actually connected to all of these other parts of my life as well. So I'm really curious. It sounds like you kind of went through your own journey of healing and then were able to offer that gift to the world. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I struggled with body image pretty much my whole life. I can say I spent more than half my life disgusted by myself. And then I've done bodybuilding competitions because I thought I could fix myself. And through that mission, I realized whoa, it didn't matter if I was smaller or bigger, I still hated myself. So that's when I realized it's not about the body, it's not about the food. And then I was able to understand the binging that I had developed throughout that process. When I had shifted it and started to heal it, I actually just transferred it onto my money story. So I see a big correlation about that. I have a belief that how you handle your emotions is pretty much the same way you're going to handle your money.
Oh, interesting. So tell me more about that. How did that play out for you?
So I believe in there's these cycles we go through, or that I've went through and I've seen in a lot of my clients, where it's you restrict, you deprive, you binge. So you restrict your food, you restrict your money, you restrict on all kinds of things, having fun, living your life, and then you're going to feel deprived, and then you'll essentially end up binging as a symptom to the underlying issue of feeling not enough. So we have to go through the whole steps and really just setting yourself up to understand that you're not the body, to see your body story, to see your money story, to really look at the story and see these are all just coping mechanisms of who you've ever been. And you get to determine if this is serving you. I like to talk about our highest queen selves. So is this serving my highest queen self, the version of me that has high standards and boundaries, and she shows up for herself? Is this coping mechanism in alignment with her? And doing this deep work, I've been able to see a lot of it and do a lot of healing around it without shaming. I have a big motto where it's be kind to your human. So when you're kind to your human, you have more patience with her. She's done all she can for you. She did the best she could, right? With the imprinting and conditioning she's had.
Yeah. So I'm super curious. Do you do a lot of inner child healing work with your clients?
I do some inner child healing and some reparenting work around that. I think as a whole, we have to look at it as a whole, the whole story. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think so much of our self-image, really relates back to our inner child.
Yes.
And whatever the messaging was around body size or food consumption and things like that growing up.
Mm-hmm. And who we thought we had to be in order to feel safe and seen and loved.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Interesting. So how is it going building your coaching practice?
I've been at it for a few years now, since 2015. I'm going to say the first few years, I was really just playing around. Like I was afraid to be seen. Here I was being a woman saying, take up space. But then it was like, oh, but what if they don't like me? What if I come out too loud? What if I get judged? So that's when I had to do a lot more deep work on healing these fears, on seeing it from a different perspective. And I'm going to say probably since 2019, end of 2019, I started to really go deeper in my business. I started hiring the specific mentors to really just guide me. I had a few business coaches prior to that, but I wasn't really there to do the mindset work 100%. It was like, oh yeah, I got it. Of course I got it, but then life's too busy and I don't want to look at my issues. You're kidding? Like,
Yeah. And I think like we often think that we are doing well and like we're giving it our best effort. And then of course, a couple of years goes by and you look back and you're like, oh, that's cute that I thought I was doing the deep work then.
Yes.
But it's like the more that we can honor every version of ourselves, like, okay, she was doing the best that she could. Yes. Now there's like a new level that I can go to and new depths. Yeah.
Yes. And I believe like it presents itself to it in a way where you can feel you have to ease into it. Like I feel if I would have pushed harder into that, I don't know if I would be where I am today. Like I feel like the more I did this work, and then honestly in 2017, I feel like my whole personal life fell apart. So it was like just surviving was a thing. So I was just do the work, show up as I can. And so that's where I'm at.
Yeah. And I really feel that entrepreneurship reveals so much to us. It's like particularly, well, maybe it's not even particularly, I was going to say particularly around like money and worthiness, but maybe it's not even that. It's just whatever our thing is, wherever we feel wobbly, entrepreneurship, and particularly when you're the service, it's like when you're offering yourself, it's like, it's so triggering. Like, am I enough? Who am I to do this? Oh my God, I'm putting myself out there. What are people going to think? Can I hide behind this? Can I just have my webpage and maybe people will just buy from my webpage? And so then I never actually have to show up on social media and have anybody see me selling.
Yes. All of the above. Because entrepreneurship actually helps you face the versions of you you're not ready to see, but those are the versions of you that will grow you. I feel entrepreneurship is personal development.
Yeah.
All the way. It's like, oh, there's my trigger. Oh, here's a shadow.
Yeah, totally. Oh. And like, that's what I love about, the money work and why I kind of focus on money mindset with business coaching is that it's like the money tells the story in a way. We make money mean all kinds of things that it doesn't actually mean. But because we do that, it's like if our business is stuck at $2,000 a month or whatever, and you start to dig in, like, why is it? It's really, you really want to make more money. That's your motivation for digging in. But then what you'll find is, oh, I'm hiding. Okay, let me heal that part of myself. Oh, I'm not speaking my power. Okay, how do I open up my throat chakra? Whatever it is, it's like, I love that money is kind of this entry point into doing the inner work.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
because it's like if our business was doing the 50K a month or 100K a month or like whatever the number is, just insert it, you know, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
We would be like, okay, I'm cool. Like we might not go there.
Yeah.
But because we want more money, it's like we actually do the next level of healing to step into that next version of ourselves. And that is so much better than just the money. The money will come from stepping into that version of ourselves, but then the fringe benefit is every other part of our life gets better.
Yes. I feel like money is just a byproduct to healing the nervous system, to healing the mindset, to healing the story that came with it. You know, like I grew up poor. I was the poor girl and everybody knew me as the poor girl. So, and money was greedy and, you know, all those conditionings that you get fed. I remember going to high school and seeing like the popular girls, and I just remember feeling like I'm not like them. I'm not seen, I'm not like them. Right. So that was a big trigger, but I understand now doing this money healing work is if money was dangerous, then no wonder I didn't want to step into my full power because I had to heal at the deepest nervous system level, like heal those deeper wounds, you know? So it's like a lot of the emotional intelligence, the heart set, the mindset, the soul set work, like the lineage story. You know, I come from generations of this. So it's like, okay, I was the first to finish high school. I was the first to go to college and to get a degree at university, you know, and I've been following this path of always wanting to improve myself. But it comes at a risk of, well, then who does she think she is?
Yeah.
You know, so it's a bigger story, and just trusting myself as I go, that it's okay, that other people don't have to understand me. Like you didn't come here to be understood. You came here to understand yourself, and trust that whatever I need to be revealed will be, and I need to make peace that not everybody's going to get me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Have you had a lot of evidence of that? Where people don't get you, or people are feeling like, who does she think she is? Or have you found that that's been more internal dialogue?
I feel it's more internal dialogue. It's more like of working through past childhood stories and experiences, you know, but the more I surround myself with people who also do this work, you feel safer, you know, and it's about having that safety in your body, regardless of what's happening on the outside world. Like if you can feel safe in your body, you can do anything. So that's the work I've been doing.
Yes. Yeah. And you hit on something so important. Every chance I get, I feel like I'm shouting this from the rooftops. Like, we are women. We need to be in community.
Yes.
Deep, trusting, interwoven community where we can show up in our power and we can show up in our vulnerability. We can say the thing that we're most afraid of, and other women say, I see you. I love you. I believe in you. I see your power. You're going to do great things. If we don't have that, we really can't be in our feminine energy.
Exactly.
We'll be in go it alone mode, which is masculine energy. And most of us have had enough years of that we don't need anymore.
Yes. I know I burnt out not one time, but twice, because I didn't learn my lesson the first time, but being in full masculine energy, you know, and I got this. I don't need anybody. If you want it done, do it yourself. Like all of that energy is not healthy. But also, like, I love how you're bringing this up, because we say women empowerment, but then we'll judge another woman who starts taking up place because we're jealous.
Yeah.
And we feel triggered instead of looking at the trigger. I call triggers like check engine lights in your car. You know, it's like, oh, there's something under the hood, you know, you bring it to the garage, you get it fixed. So for me, a trigger is like, oh, a light just went off. I need to look at that inside instead of projecting it on and blaming her for taking up the space. You know, it takes a lot of work to see it. It takes a lot of awareness actually to see, and then the bravery to go into the story.
Yes. Yeah, that is the scariest thing about being in community with other powerful women, is you're going to get triggered like crazy.
Yes. But a trigger is an expander. It's an activator. Like me coming into AFE, like I was amongst so many women who are millionaires, multimillionaires, like, and here I am like, hi.
Right.
And I realized like the first part of my membership, like I was in the group. But if I were to explain it with words, it's like I walked into the room, but I stayed at the back at the door.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, do I belong here? Do I belong here? And not that nobody made me feel that. I made me feel that based on past perceptions. So then it was like, no, walk right in that room. Go sit at that table. Get in the conversations. And that's when things started to shift.
Yes. I love that. Yeah, it's so true, right? And it's the reason that I want us to be talking about money, because, you know, it's really interesting that it's a taboo subject, because I equate it to food. And it's like, how much do we love talking about food, right? We all need food for our survival, but also there are different levels of food, right? There's survival food, right? Like you can survive on the military rations that just have to be jet boiled, or you can have more pleasurable experiences with food where you're eating art, edible art, right? And we love to have those experiences and to be in community together and talk about it. And it's pretty fundamental, right, to our human experience. And yet we all need money. We all need it for our survival. And we can all have more pleasurable experiences interacting with the world through more money.
Yes.
But we don't talk about it.
We vilify it.
Yeah. And so then it's like we're just stuck inside of our own head with all these crazy thoughts around money, and they fester there. Yeah. And it takes so much longer probably than it needs to for us to really examine and heal them, because they're in hiding. Yes.
I believe a lot of us grew up probably with that mantra that like money is greedy and people who have money are greedy. And, I know a lot of people, and they say people who hang like your closest family, your friends, they all have the same kind of belief patterns as you. This is how it works. And it solidifies it. But if you step out and you instill doubt, then there's that fear. So a lot of us take the longer way around, because we're like, wait, no, I'm not greedy. See, look, I'm not greedy. Look, I'm not greedy. Just to like try to show and prove that we're not greedy, because we're not. But there's that duality. Yeah. Because we have to heal the deeper story, which is I believe it's been passed on for generations. It's a whole lineage. We need to clear those contracts.
Yeah. What are some of the ways that you like to do that type of clearing and healing work?
I like to go right into the money story. So I have a process where it's like, look at the stories you've been told. Like, what has money ever meant to you? When was the first time you realized money was something? What did it feel like in your body? When was the first time you realized that you probably weren't good enough for money, or you couldn't have money? Where did you feel that in your body? Or what did it cause in your body? Like the stress, like when did you decide that you and money weren't going to be friends? All of these things. And I like to journal it all out. And then I like to do a lot of forgiveness work around the people who, shared these stories with me, or that I just picked up from them. There's a lot of forgiveness work, because they didn't know better either, right? They were doing the best they could. Yeah. So it's like, okay, so I got one model, they got one model. Now I get to say, but is this serving my highest queen self? And then I'll do the flip side. Like, so I do a lot of that forgiveness work and the belief work, and really just, I just hone in. I like to play with certain numbers as I'm journaling out to see what triggers me. If you say something like $30,000, I can't breathe, it's like, right? So it's like, okay, so then we do that work of really normalizing it and neutralizing it in your body. If it feels safe in your body, if it feels safe to look at it, if it feels safe to write it, then you start to, it doesn't have power. My whole work is to take my power back, because I'm the prize. Like money is just paper. It's just numbers on a screen. It can't do anything without me, because I gave it value. But we twist it where we think I'm not value unless I have money. But that's not true. It's just a paper. You gave it the meaning, right? It's man-made. Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah. So take me into some number talk in your own story, right? So like what were you making
when you started delving into that work? And then we know that money is a lag indicator. So as we do the inner work, then I think you said money is a byproduct. I like to call it a lag indicator. So I imagine that, you know, over time you've seen your ability to earn, your ability to hold on to money and have it in your bank account increase. So just kind of walk me through that.
Yeah. So when I first got started in an online business, I was like giving stuff away for free. Like I would just give it away, be like, please buy my stuff, or like, here, let me just give it to you. I'm going to say at the beginning, at the beginning of last year, I was still giving away programs that I was trying to sell for like $97. Be like, here, please just take this program, you know, energetic exchange, give me a testimonial if it changed your life, right? Things like this. And I realized that by doing that, I put us both in a disservice. I kept us both unempowered because she felt like a pressure. I was trying to give her a gift, but it was actually a burden. So I didn't really make any money. And there was a lot of like, I had to do a lot of self-worth talk. This is where my money belief stuff started coming in. Since doing this, I now play with minimums and maximums. So, and for me, receiving, I'm on the receiving. So when I talk about money, it's all of it, how it comes to me in all the ways, because money will come to you the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
So I started opening my mind, because before it was like, it has to come just from my business, because I also work full time. My husband has his full-time job, right? And I'm partnered with direct sales. So I would be like, no, it just has to come from my coaching. But when I expanded that thinking, it was like, oh my gosh. And I used to say, I want to bring in about 6,000 a month. But when I did the math and calculated everything, I was already at that. So then I increased it in my minimum to say, okay, let's get to a 10. Yeah. And like, you know, the last several months, it's been above that. So it's like, oh, let's bump it up some more. And here's when I'm available for a maximum. Like I'd love to try to hit a 20K month, you know? So it's really, but it's seeing all the ways that money comes to me.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm open to all of it. And there's no more resistance in it. It's not me trying to control. I get to co-create with the universe. I get to have these thoughts of inspiration to share something and then say, you know, this is what I'm charging for it. And I removed my worth from it. Whereas in my business earlier days, it was like, well, this is what it's worth. But really, that you can't put a worth on it, you know, and I would twist my worth in it. Now it's like, this is the value. This is what you get. If you feel like this is going to impact your life, then it will, right? Yes. So this is what you get, but I'm good either way, right? So there's like a full releasing, high intention, low attachment and trust, you know?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for sharing all of that. And I want to circle back to the point that you made around really counting all money. And I have to say, this is a place where I have been deepening my own work over the last month or two. And I'm inside of Melanie Layer's Hypermind, and the same thing has been happening there as well. And so the magnitude of the numbers are different, and yet the concept is exactly the same. And I think that's the funny thing about numbers sometimes too, right? Is like, we have this idea in our head of like, oh, well, I dealt with that when I was stuck at 5K a month or whatever. So now it's gone. And then it's like this stuff reappears, and it has the opportunity to come up at all levels, and that's okay. So there was kind of this conversation happening around like, where are we devaluing money? Where are we not counting money? Where are we not grateful for it? Or where are we kind of like putting in place a hierarchy? And so, you know, there was one woman who's doing like, she earns like 60K a month from a network marketing company, and she like wasn't counting that at all. I mean, in terms of the money that she was willing to celebrate and share with the group, right? She felt like she could only count her coaching income. And it's like, why? Because we arbitrarily do that. And Melanie was talking about how she doesn't really count any of her money that comes from investments. Like, and as she kind of felt into that, it was like, it almost doesn't feel like real money. Like it almost feels fake, or like it's not really there. So it's like she doesn't count it the same way she counts money that comes through her business. And so I've been reconciling that with myself, because I have two businesses that, you know, combined do around 140, 150K a month. And the income now at this point is relatively passive for me. But the former version of me worked her ass off to build those businesses. And yet now it's like, I want the money to just come through my coaching business. Why? Maybe because that's where I'm actually working hard. So I feel most comfortable with that concept. And so I love that you brought us into conversation around that, because when we can be grateful and acknowledging and receiving of money through every channel, and even go one step deeper and say, you know what? Can I get to a place where I actually prefer the easiest channel?
Yes.
Where I can proudly say, I'm so thankful for this money that comes through without me having to do anything. Isn't that amazing?
Yes. We've been so conditioned, you have to work hard for your money. And I think that that's the story we get stuck in without realizing, you know, it has to be hard. There's songs about it. We talk about it. And I decided, like, at the beginning of 2021, I was no longer going to subscribe to that game.
Yeah.
I have my word. I do a word of the year. I've been doing that since 2012. My word this year is effortless. It gets to be effortless. My word last year was celebrate. Even though life happened like it did, I still celebrated. I'm really big on that and honoring those principles. So no, it gets to be effortless. Effortless doesn't mean you don't put in some work, but I'm not going to slave around it.
Yeah.
It's like, I want it to flow. I trust.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And it's like healing the places where we don't think we're worthy unless we're working hard. Yes. Or where we're afraid that we're going to be judged for it unless we can show that we worked hard for it.
Yeah.
And I'm just giving examples of what's come forward for me when I examine it. But I think these are pretty universal things, right? We all go through this conditioning. So yeah, thank you for opening up the conversation around that. So I love that you play with kind of energetic minimums and maximums around your money. I love that that you've zoomed out to really appreciate all of the ways that money is coming to you, right? Because at the end of the day, if you can have an incredible impact with women, if you're changing the way that they feel about themselves, the way they feel in their body, you're helping them take back their power, and then money just rains out of the sky for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
yeah. And
it's funny how we say, no, it has to be that the client's paying me for this. This has to be the way for it to come through.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get energetic exchange and all of that. And at the same time, this is really our relationship with Source. And if we're making an impact in the world and Source decides to give us money through, you know, a buried treasure that we find in our backyard, so be it.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. You just trust, you play in it. I played my Goldilocks effect all the time. It's like, oh, and it's to bring the awareness, you know, like, when I was getting ready for this interview, I was like, I'm going to actually look at my numbers. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've surpassed my minimum. So now it's like, let's bump it up a little bit. Yay. Just, you know, like Melanie says, you know, 1 foot in gratitude, 1 foot in celebration, you know, you're constantly walking forward. That's the same thing. It's just trust him.
Yeah. Did you used to avoid looking at your numbers?
Yes. Yes. That was like my deprived stage. It was like, nope, I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to look at it. Yeah. And then I would binge it all. And there was a lot of scarcity. Another thing I like to do is I like to look at where scarcity talks to me, because she shows up to show me something. And instead of shaming her, I like to sit back and be like, what is she telling me? What's under this story? Like, what's this, you know, armor she's bringing to me? What's the fear? You know, so I like to really look at her.
Okay, so tell me more about that. Can you give an example?
So an example, let's say if you're going to buy, like, I don't know, buy something, and you're like, I'm not going to spend more than this. Right. But it's something you wanted, but you're like, nope. You know, we all have coding around certain numbers. We all have coding around things. Where did that coding come from? There's your scarcity. You know, is it because you've invested in something before and it didn't work out? Well, there's your scarcity. Now you get to go do some forgiveness work around that. At the version of you at the time, this is what she wanted. This is what she chose. There's still a lesson in there, right? You can choose to, you know, punish yourself or punish the investment or, you know, the coach or whatever you did, or you can choose to actually look at it and be like, what did you actually learn from this?
Yeah.
So when she shows up, it's like to protect you, right? Every time I go to invest, it's like, oh, wait a second, is this what we really want? You know, and I can be like, okay, why are you here? What's the story? And I get to look at it, and it's another layer of forgiveness, you know, like, yeah, just doing work like that.
I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah. Seeing the lesson everywhere.
Yes.
Saying, you're here to protect me. Thank you so much for that. And can I figure out why I needed the protection to begin with and heal that?
Yeah.
So then you can be on your merry way and not have to protect me from this.
Yes. Scarcity sometimes will make us jump into things too, because she's afraid of missing out, right? Like we talked a little bit about FOMO before we got on.
Yeah.
So my scarcity was like, jump, jump, jump. Like, don't wait, don't think about it. Jump, jump, jump. And I was like, wait a second. I believe there's a time to invest, but there's also a time we have to stabilize. So I'm in the stabilizing effect now. I want to stabilize my income. I want to stabilize how I feel with my teachings. I want to stabilize who I be. Yeah. And then I'll explore. So yeah, I had a long conversation with her about that. A lot of journaling prompts, and yes.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I'm curious, in the work that you do with women around body image and stuff like that, like, it sounds like you really coach and touch on money, but have you had examples where before you even get to the money piece, just working on the body image and the self-love, like more money starts pouring in for you or your clients?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Every next level, it's like, I feel like it all goes together.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be my hypothesis as well, right? Is like, because sometimes we think that we have to do the money work to get more money.
Yeah.
I need to heal my money story. And it's like, yes. And it's like healing's healing, because really we attract what we're a vibrational match for. And our vibratory signature is everything. It's not just how we're feeling about money, it's how we're feeling about ourselves. Like, is our predominant signature gratitude? Is our predominant signature love? Or is it scarcity? Or is it fear? Or whatever it is. Yeah. And so it's like feeling better about yourself or feeling better about your body, even if you didn't touch your money story, is going to have an impact, I would think, on how much money is able to flow to you.
Yes, because then you start taking up more space in your decisions, and you're showing up from that highest queen self of you. Like, she's not going to just let you like drop cash for nothing. You know, you're not going to be running to fill a void, because there's no longer a void. Yeah. So everything you make is for that highest expression. It's like it becomes an identity.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And like you were talking about with the binge cycles, it's like, if you don't trust yourself with money, or you don't really believe you're worthy of money, in the same way that you don't trust yourself with food, and you don't believe that you're worthy of feeling good in your body, so you're going to sabotage in that way. And so likewise with money, like, you may have money coming in, but it feels actually so scary to have it in your bank account because it doesn't match.
Yes.
You're like, I'm not the kind of person that should have 10K just sitting in my bank account. Yes. You feel unworthy of it. And so subconsciously you self-sabotage. Mm-hmm. It feels so much safer to spend that money to do the binge, because now the bank account matches what you believe you are worthy of.
Yes, 100%. And I've had to do a lot of deep work around that, because at the beginning of my business, that's what I would do, you know, or if a client would pay, I would cry, but it wasn't really tears of joy. It was like tears of like, oh my gosh, as if somebody you know, like, what if I mess it up? Like all this fear, the imposter syndrome. And now it's like, I'm so grateful. And I don't see it like she's spending the money on me. It's going back on her, because now I become like a channel to walk with her. Like or I'm an expander, or however you want to see it. But
yeah,
the view is different. My perspective shifted.
Yeah, I think you bring up something really important there too that doesn't get talked about enough, which is how we feel when we receive money, particularly from a client in exchange for services. Because I used to feel almost like obligation or like indebtedness.
Same.
And
yeah.
Because I didn't understand masculine and feminine energy at that time. And so it's like we're in our feminine energy when we're receiving money. And when we don't trust the feminine, it feels so uncomfortable. And again, we make it all about our worth or lack thereof or whatever. And we desire so quickly to flip back into masculine energy, which looks like, okay, I'm going to over deliver for this client. Let me get to work right away. And it's really just this knee-jerk reaction around our own worthiness, our own discomfort in feminine energy. So it's like, oh, let me go back into wounded masculine and let me prove to this client that I was actually worthy of the investment that they just made.
Yes, that's exactly who I was up until like the end of December 2020.
Yeah.
Of just like over delivering, over giving, feeling like I was responsible for my clients' results when really they are sovereign beings.
Yeah.
I'm simply just a mirror to show them something different. I'm here to hold them to a higher standard. I'm here to guide them, not to be their friend. You know, so I had to do a whole work around that. And I was like, okay. And as the new year started, I was like, and that chapter closes. I'm now rising. And there's been such a huge shift just in the last 6 months. And I'm like so excited for the growth that I've had. And as I keep stabilizing and, you know, embodying these messages deeper, you know, the transformations are deeper. Yeah. The integration, everything.
Totally. Like it makes you a much more powerful coach because your energy is so much cleaner around it.
Yes.
You're actually more focused on your client because when you're in that other wounded masculine energy of I need to prove that I'm worthy of the investment that they just made on me, it's still all about you.
Yes. Yes.
And again, this is another example where I'm so thankful for money because money reveals these things. Like I'll never forget, this is in my Amazon sales agency business, but I did a strategy session with a business owner. And at the end of it, he was like, yep, this sounds good. And he did an $18,000 pay in full. I took his credit card over the phone. So it was like in a matter of I'd earned $18,000 in the course of 1 hour, right? And it was like the duality of feeling the adrenaline rush of that, feeling excited about that, that wanting to celebrate that money, and then feeling indebted, obligated, feeling like I had a pit in my stomach. I'm so thankful for that $18,000 because it revealed to me that whole pattern in a way that I otherwise would not have been aware of. I wouldn't have examined it, and I wouldn't have been able to start the process of healing that.
Yes, the coding was there.
Yeah. So I just love this conversation, and you know the way that we've been able to weave together all of these different pieces, right? The energetics, the masculine, feminine energy, the body image stuff, the money wounds, and these practices, these sort of feminine energy practices of playing with the possibilities, playing with the energetic minimums and maximums and seeing how it feels in the body, and being receptive and in gratitude for all sources of money in our life. Like, yeah, these are each, the visual I get is like pieces of the puzzle. And we've touched on so many of the different pieces. And I really believe that for everyone listening, it's like, if you just choose one of those pieces that resonates and do a little upgrade or a little energy work around that, you'll see really tremendous results, which is just so exciting. Yes. So you said you're kind of dreaming into 20K months right now. Is that right?
Yes. I have a big, that's like my next goal. It's like, okay, let's see. Let's bump up that minimum and
I love that.
Yeah. Without an attachment, just play.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Just step into your highest queen self, right? Who's already earning the 20K a month, and then take action from that aligned place. Yes. So I feel like everyone listening will want to follow along on that journey. Where do you hang out online? What are the best places for people to connect with you?
I would love that. So they can follow me on my personal page, Gayle Brisson, or on my Feed That Glow page on Facebook, both on Facebook, or Feed That Glow on Instagram. And then I also have a podcast, Project Glow Radio Podcast, which I'm excited for you to be a guest as well.
Yes.
They can come say hi, get to know me. Love to get to know them.
Perfect. Yeah. So we'll throw all those links into the show notes as well, so they'll be easily accessible. And Crystal, any last message that you want to share with our listeners?
I would say do the deep work. It's so worth it. Even though it's scary, do the deep work. You're worth taking that time, energy, the money to just do the work. Set yourself free. True liberation comes from doing the work. So be brave. Face those versions of you and know you're going to be okay. It's worth it.
Yes. Amen. It is worth it 1,000 times over, and in beautiful ways that you can't even possibly imagine until you're on the other side of it, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, Crystal, thank you so much for being here today. It's been such a joy.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, I have something fun to share. Now, when you leave a review of the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube, take a quick screenshot and send it to hi@emilywilcox.com. You'll be entered into a drawing to win a free one-on-one Voxer coaching day with me, and you help the show reach more new listeners. Such a win-win. I also invite you to follow me on Instagram @mmakesmoney and to jump into my free Telegram community, The Money Club, which is linked in the show notes. Until next time, I'm sending you all the magic money vibes.